The presidents of Harvard, Penn, and MIT faced Congress yesterday and were challenged by the rise of anti-Semitism on their campus and what they were doing about it. This clip in particular has now gone viral. I think their responses might shock you. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor. I know I try not to do politics on this channel, but we do social media trends, and this clip is going viral all over Twitter and social media, and it really left me shook. I want to play this clip, and I want to talk about some of the context and what this means. Before we get into any of it, let's set it up. This is Congressman Elise Stefanik, serving New York's 21st District, challenging these three presidents, and she's starting with the head of MIT.
At MIT, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate MIT's code of conduct or rules regarding bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
If targeted at individuals, not making public statements.
Yes or no? Calling for the genocide of Jews does not constitute bullying and harassment?
I have not heard calling for the genocide for Jews on our campus.
But you've heard chants for intifada.
I've heard chants, which can be anti-Semitic depending on the context, when calling for the elimination of the Jewish people.
Now, her answer, not as bad for me, because she's very distinctly specifying what thing constitutes, the problem here. And that word in question, what does that mean? What does, I gotta be careful the words I say here, guys. That word has been spray painted on campus. And yes, to some that means the G word of Jews is what that means. But the translation is an uprising, a shaking off. And the extent of what you do in that uprising is where I guess the debate comes from some and others. Some that could mean peaceful protest, civil protest, or it could mean actual violent acts. So that's the debate here. And I can understand the debate of whether that word means the genocide of Jews. That I can understand. But that's not what this congressman's about to ask the head of Harvard and Penn. She's going to specifically ask something, and I'm kind of shocked that they're not answering yes.
So those would not be according to the MIT's code of conduct or rules?
That would be investigated as harassment if pervasive and severe.
Ms. Magill, at Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment, yes.
I am asking specifically calling for the genocide of Jews. Does that constitute bullying or harassment?
Yes.
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer yes, Ms. Magill. So is your testimony that you will not answer yes?
If it is,
yes or no?
If the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment, yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide? The speech is not harassment? This is unacceptable, Ms. Magill. I'm going to give you one more opportunity for the world to see your answer.
Just to reiterate, as Jesus just called out, yes, if the speech turns into conduct so-called for the genocide of Jews violates Penn Code of Conduct, only if the people commit it? Like, that's when it crosses the line? So the threat of it, like he says here, not enough. They have to actually do it. What? So, okay, she's going to answer it right this time, right?
Calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's code of conduct when it comes to bullying and harassment?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
It can be harassment.
The answer is yes. And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Exactly.
Targeted as an individual, targeted at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric.
And is it anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
It's a very specific question, not a hypothetical, not something broader. That statement in itself does it.
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
Again, in the beginning, I think that the head of MIT handled the question a bit better by getting specific. Well, I haven't heard it. What are you talking about? And then the debate came about the graffiti. Less offended at the head of MIT, much more offended at, and that's where the context is always important. We know the context of where this came from. But what context justifies if she's straight out saying, does saying this constitute it? So calling out genocide, does that constitute bullying and harassment? Well, it depends on the context. What context allows for that on a campus? What context? I'm trying to play it out in my head like a role play, like history class. All right, you're for it, you're against it. Like, how would that not be offensive and make certain students feel uncomfortable? Be like asking, all right, slavery, good or bad? Let's debate it. I mean, look, I'm all for healthy debate, but I don't understand if you're calling for it and it's not in a debate. Even that I think is questionable. What context are they being so evasive about? Why is this happening? This actually legitimately shocked me. So for full context, because we like to put on full context here, here's a little bit more from Dr. Gay, who elaborates a bit more as to what the question is here.
We embrace a commitment to free expression, even of views that are objectionable, offensive, hateful. It's when that speech crosses into conduct that violates our policies against bullying, harassment,
Does that speech not cross that barrier? Does that speech not call for the genocide of Jews and the elimination of Israel?
When
You testify that you understand that is the definition of intifada. Is that speech according to the Code of Conduct or not?
We embrace a commitment to free expression and give a wide berth to free expression, even of views that are objectionable.
So there it is. This is all about free expression. And again, I don't want to get into the whole politics of it because I'm just ignorant to it all. I would say if you were on a college campus calling for the genocide of any race, any religion, any group, yes, that would fall under bullying and harassment, in my opinion. I'm curious what you guys think. Again, I don't want to get into the war and what's happening. To me, this is such a specific example, and I got to support what Stefanik said. Now, sure, might there be other political motives or things happening here? Maybe, but we're talking specifically about what she just said. Does calling for the genocide, does that constitute bullying? Yeah, what context justifies it? Now, if you want to debate, does this specific example mean that? Okay, I don't know, because I'm ignorant, but then at least we're arguing a specific example that maybe is questionable based on the definitions and history and whatever. And then we actually are defining, okay, well, now we've decided that yes, using that word becomes this. But stripping that example away and just talking broadly, does calling for this mean that? Feels like it was an easy yes. And she could have even clarified, well, yes, it would. But it depends on what are you quantifying as someone saying that. If they're specifically saying that out loud, verbatim, then yes. That, you know what I mean? Like, then I could understand why she might have been trying to protect the speech. But really, now we can just call for the genocide of groups on campus and no one's going to say anything? That's what the Ivy League schools are supporting? I do have a problem with that. I'm curious what you guys think. Am I missing something? What are your thoughts down below? Again, please, can we be respectful? This was not about the war and everything else. I was specifically wondering, do you feel okay with the presidents of these Ivy League institutions defending that? And not only that, but smiling about it. Why is this woman smiling about it? It's creepy. Look at that. This is not a topic to be smiling about. I'm I'm confused. What do you guys think? If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for all alerts, smash that like button, leave a comment down below. I am curious. Are you as confused as I am? Is there context that justifies it? I want to hear your thoughts down below. Thanks you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more commentary and culture videos all across the board here on Popcorn Planet.